Massive landslide occurs on an Indian highway near a suspension bridge.
Local officials say that the area has been prone to landslides during continuous rainfall in parts of Uttarakhand, India. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Senator De La Rosa confirms the presence of bribery in the collection of signatures for the People's Initiatives. The Philippine Coast Guard condemns Chinese Coast Guard's more aggressive bullying tactics. A magnitude 5.1 earthquake rocks China's Xinjiang region. United Kingdom braces for strong winds and rain brought on by Storm Isha. And the 2024 Grammy Awards unveils the list of performers for music's biggest night.
Las Vegas, Nevada,
España,
Paris, France,
United Kingdom,
Washington, D.C.,
London Bureau,
Papua New Guinea,
in New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila,
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng
Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa alleged that residents received payouts in exchange for signing the People's Initiative for Charter Change. He said that in Davao City, constituents were offered claim stubs worth 100 to 3,000 pesos in exchange for their signatures for the People's Initiative efforts. Senator De La Rosa said he reprimanded a congressman from Mindanao because of the said signature drive. But according to him, the congressman said they were only following the orders of House Speaker Martin Romualdez. De La Rosa declined to reveal the name of the lawmaker, but he confirmed the congressman has obtained the required 20,000 signatures in Davao City.
Nagpapasintabi, tatawag sa'yo. Pasensya ka na, Sen, ha? Following orders lang kami, mga ganon, di ba? Sige lang, kawawa rin kayo dyan. Alam kong survival kayo dyan. Survival yung ginagawa nyo dyan. So, in order to survive, you have to follow orders. Wala kayong magawa dyan. Sunod lang kayo kung...
Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva urged the public to report if they have been tricked just to sign the People's Initiative. The senator said it was against the law to bribe to push for charter change.
Kung meron pong nagoyo, nabudol, o gusto nyo pong magreklamo at bawiin ang inyo pong pirma, huwag po kayong matakot na magsumbong. Magpadala po kayo ng post, ng video, picture o screenshot ng mga text ng mga panunuhol o anumang po pwede nyong ipagbigay alam sa amin. Hihingi na rin namin ang inyong pangalan, tirahan at contact details. Nang sa ganon, matulungan po namin kayo na maprotektahan at maipagtanggol ang inyong mga karapatan.
Meanwhile, in an ambush interview, Romualdez denied De La Rosa's allegations, insisting there were no orders of signature drive. The Senate also called an all-member caucus today to discuss the proposed amendment to the economic provisions of the Constitution based on a resolution filed by Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri.
The Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, or MWSS, have dispelled the worries about water shortages this summer amid the El Niño phenomenon. This is after the Department of the Interior and Local Government announced looming water supply interruption. MWSS Water and Sewerage Management Department Manager Patrick Dizon said that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. instructed the agency to have mitigating measures for this summer. The agency assured that there will be no water shortages. The MWSS previously requested the National Water Resources Board to increase the Angat Dam's water elevation from 212 to 214 meters. This is to provide an extra buffer room in the reservoir and secure sufficient water supply during the summer.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has reassured commuters that sufficient transportation options will be in place by February 1st, when unconsolidated public utility vehicles, or PUVs, will no longer be permitted on the roads. LTFRB Chairman Teofilo Guadis assured the public that rescue vehicles and specially permitted jeepneys will be deployed to cover routes lacking public utility vehicles. He emphasized that the deployment of rescue vehicles is a short-term solution lasting only 1 to 2 weeks, anticipating enough special permits to be issued by then. Guadis also highlighted the agency's coordination efforts with local government units and the MMDA to address potential challenges on February 1st. The LTFRB remains steadfast in its stance that there is no transport crisis despite over 300 routes lacking consolidated entities.
The House of Representatives has successfully approved all but 4 of the 57 priority bills, as outlined by the administration and lawmakers in the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, or LEDAC. House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez has highlighted the forthcoming focus on the passage of House Bill number 9713. This bill aims to institutionalize a Philippine self-reliant defense posture program, promoting the development of a robust national defense industry. House Speaker Romualdez emphasized that the nation must establish a credible defense program and industry to reduce reliance on foreign allies and suppliers for its defense requirements. Among the remaining LEDAC measures pending final approval are amendments to the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, the Budget Modernization Bill, and the National Defense Act.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has taken a proactive step towards fostering energy efficiency with the issuance of Administrative Order number 15. This directive instructs government agencies to expedite the implementation of the Government Energy Management Program, or GEMP, underscoring the commitment to optimizing energy use judiciously. The GEMP seeks to curtail the monthly consumption of electricity and petroleum products, aiming to contribute to a sustainable and responsible energy footprint for the government. To execute this vision, certified energy auditors will conduct energy audits, while random energy spot checks will ensure ongoing compliance.
The United States Department of Agriculture has projected that the Philippines will maintain its position as the world's leading rice importer in 2024. According to the latest report from the USDA, the Philippines is expected to import 3.8 million metric tons of rice this year. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. has previously stated that the government aims to solidify its rice trade agreement with Vietnam during the upcoming state visit of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. To ensure a stable supply amid the potential impact of El Nino, President Marcos is also considering rice imports from Cambodia. He noted that Cambodia aims to capture a 1% share of the imported rice market in the Philippines this year.
A video of Chinese Coast Guards, or CCG, chasing off Filipino fishermen from Bajo de Masinloc has been circulating online. According to Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, based on the narrative of the owner of the video, the CCG is instructing the Filipino fishermen to return the shell they caught to the sea. Meanwhile, a fisherman named Jack Tabat, who documented the incidents, disclosed that the 4 passengers aboard the rubber boat came down to approach some fishermen to hold boats. Tabat added that they would be freed if they would free the shells to the sea. The Philippine Coast Guard is gathering narrative regarding the incident.
After we completed this report, we are going to forward this to the National Task Force West Philippine Sea. And from there, of course, the Department of Foreign Affairs is part of that National Task Force interagency to include the Department of Justice. And of course, it's their role now, whether the DFA will push for any diplomatic action or the DOJ will also assist. It's for them to respond to as to whatever legal or diplomatic actions that the national government will take.
Agila noted that it is also a big thing that the fishermen were also equipped with cell phones that can be used to take videos in the event of such incidents. The incident occurred on January 12, a few days before the January 17 meeting of China's Department of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the improvement of the maritime communication mechanism was agreed upon. Agila, however, insisted this cannot be used as an excuse by China. Agila vowed that the incident will not occur again as the PCG will ramp up its maritime patrols in the area.
There is a rotational deployment naman ng limited number of the Philippine Coast Guard vessels. If the Coast Guard vessels are not there, the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources can be able to fill up. Itong panahon na to kasi, nagkaroon ng overlap ng rotational deployment. No? For the Philippine Coast Guard vessels, it has other areas to patrol. And I think also at the same time with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources.
Oil firms are again set to implement price hikes on gasoline and diesel tomorrow. Motorists are expected to pay 1 peso and 30 centavos more for gasoline per liter. Diesel price per liter will increase by 95 centavos. Meanwhile, kerosene price per liter will remain stagnant for the coming week. The Department of Energy said the price hike is the result of geopolitical tensions in the Red Sea. All right, so we actually both are regular drivers everywhere we go. What do you think about these oil price hikes?
You know, I was just about to say that as a consumer, and to think I am but a speck of dust and a huge sea of consumers, and considering the global movement of when prices go up, 10,000 a month on fuel alone
Wow.
is very conservative for me.
Yes.
And that is just picking up the kids, taking them
Yes.
to school, running
Yes.
errands, going to the grocery store, etc. Just imagine how much it hurts a lot of other people, businesses as well.
Exactly, and I was actually talking to my parents last week. They are planning to trade in their car right now for an electric vehicle, just to cut on gas prices and so that it's more sustainable. So when we think about that, we as consumers can make moves like that, find other forms of transportation, but we also depend a lot on our government to help out these oil prices, because this has been in discussion with Congress for the past year, and still it seems like the prices continue to increase.
And EVs, mind you, are not inexpensive.
Oh no, yes.
They are very costly, and before you can actually get your money's worth, it'll count years and years of usage in order for you to actually feel that it's beneficial over using vehicles run by fuel.
And I think it's going to take a while before that becomes the popular mode of transportation, because we do not have the resources for that yet. So if we dive deep into the core or the root of the problem, it's really the oil price hikes and how all of the geopolitical tensions, like in the Red Sea, what's going on in Russia, which is one of our top suppliers of oil, how these affect our country, and again, what our government can do about it.
And just imagine how much it's hurting global, like giant economies.
Yes.
The Philippines is a third world country, and yet we feel how it hurts us. Just imagine like big movements in other places in the world, such as like the United States and Russia.
And I know, again, it has been in discussion for a while in Congress to improve it. I know some of the points that were risen in order to improve this were the decrease of taxes, like value-added tax and excise taxes, how that can help the consumers. So hopefully this is, a problem that can be solved soon before us consumers, who are, as you said, just tiny specks of dust within the whole problem, can really find that solution helpful in our daily lives. Of course, we will continue to discuss this as the weeks go by, but right now, let's see what's coming up. A magnitude 5.1 earthquake rattles a southern Xinjiang in China. Ukraine shells a marketplace in Donetsk. And World Health Organization's Tedros Ghebreyesus calls on countries to sign on to the pandemic treaty. Stay tuned with Agila International. We'll return for more global news.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart.
Sabi, mahalin mo yung lalaking malabo ang mata. Kasi hindi yan titingin sa iba. Ako, dadalhin ko siya sa iyo.
EO Executive Optical, expert eye care, state-of-the-art facilities, affordable eyewear.
He needs to see na wala nang mas hihigit pa sa akin. EO, love your eyes.
Ako po ang inyong katuwang tungkol sa usaping ito.
Nasa puso dapat ng Pilipino to love what is Filipino.
Kaya dapat ihayag ng saloobin.
Kahit gaano kasi karami yung doktor natin, ay kung may bayad din, baliwala din.
Paano makakabili ang Pilipino ng bigas?
Himayin ang hinaing.
Gaano karaming pera bang kailangan mo para maging masaya ka?
Alamin ang pwedeng gawin.
So I think the lesson is, pag may fake news, i-correct ka agad ng people concerned.
Sagutin mo agad. Mag-reality check tayo.
Check yun.
Check.
Check na check. Double check. Check the check tayo dyan.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
A magnitude 5.1 earthquake has hit southern Xinjiang, China on Monday. Seismologists said the quake had a depth of 10 kilometers, adding that the tremor was under land. Authorities did not announce any tsunami warning but advised residents of aftershocks. Meanwhile, a landslide in southwestern China's Yunnan province forced more than 500 people to evacuate. The Zhejiang County Publicity Department said that at least 8 people died and about 47 people were buried in the landslide. The disaster struck just before 6 a.m. on Monday, and while many people were sleeping. President Xi Jinping has ordered an all-out rescue in the said area, which is also experiencing sub-zero temperatures. Nearly 1,000 rescue workers were dispatched to find victims buried in 18 separate houses. The cause of the landslide remains unclear, but the remote mountainous region is prone to them.
Taiwan's defense ministry has confirmed that 6 more balloons from China flew over the Taiwan Strait on Sunday. One of the Chinese balloons crossed the island's southern tip where Taiwan's naval base is located. The other 5 flew to the north of Taiwan but did not fly over land. China's defense ministry did not respond to any media request for comment. Some experts say that China is using balloons to spy on other nations. Such allegation became a global issue last year when the United States shot down what it said was a Chinese surveillance balloon.
Seoul's police chief has been charged with professional negligence over a deadly crush that occurred on October 29, 2022, leaving 159 people dead. Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency Kim Kwang-ho was accused of failing to ensure there was enough officers in Itaewon. Authorities said that some 137 officers had been deployed on the ground at Itaewon that night. The officers were vastly outnumbered as more than 100,000 people had gathered in the area before the incident. Mr. Kim was also off duty and at home on October 29 when the crush occurred. Some of the victims' relatives have welcomed charge. Meanwhile, a January 2023 report claimed that the local municipal and emergency service official were responsible. This is due to weak planning, given that no preventive measures were said to be taken in advance. Investigators on their part discovered that incorrect assessments of the circumstance brought to a delay in sending information among organizations.
Ukraine has shelled the busiest marketplace in Donetsk City, claiming 25 lives. RT's Steve Sweeney reports.
Well, a scene of absolute carnage here in the Kirov district of Donetsk City, which came under heavy shelling by Ukrainian forces around 10:30 this morning. Now it's difficult to describe the scene here. As you can see behind me, this street is littered with dead bodies, people with their limbs missing, blood, death. Missiles were fired. These are the 155mm Western-supplied weapons. And, of course, they haven't struck a military target. They've struck a marketplace, which, according to authorities, was at its busiest. Many are talking of a genocide. Many are saying that this is a war crime.
That was a direct strike against civilians. It's a big city market. There were lots of people. They hit the place during rush hour so that more people would cry and suffer. 4 of my friends died.
Officials said the marketplace was bustling when it came under attack from Ukrainian forces. Investigations are underway to determine exactly what weapons were used, with the death toll expected to rise.
Ukrainian troops carried out a targeted attack on the market, presumably around 10 a.m., where there were a lot of people. Currently, we're working on identifying ammunition which was used by the Ukrainian forces.
One shopkeeper explains that the area has been under attack for 10 years and that she just wants to live in peace.
The shelling has been going on since 2014. We have no words, no patience anymore, but everyone got used to it. We don't know when it will end. Ordinary people are suffering.
This is the deadliest single attack in Donetsk in recent times. But these were not soldiers. These were ordinary people shopping at a marketplace. Old men and women carrying out their daily activities. Western-supplied weapons have been used to carry out war crimes yet again, leaving a community devastated and its people terrorized, with many asking why? Why us? And when will this horror end? This is Steve Sweeney, RT Donetsk City.
A weekend of protests in France. Farmers blocked a major highway and elsewhere. Tens of thousands demonstrated against a tough new immigration law. Mark Castillo has the details.
Demonstrators protested in several French cities, calling on President Emmanuel Macron not to sign the new immigration law. They say it bears the footprint of the far right. The bill strengthens France's ability to deport foreigners considered undesirable, and it makes it tougher for foreigners to take advantage of social welfare, among other measures. The immigration law reflects what appears to be centrist Macron's most recent effort to tilt the government to the right. The shift comes ahead of European elections in June, with the far right bounding forward in popularity, according to polls. Meanwhile, farmers blocked a major highway in southwestern France in a protest against taxes and regulation. The blockade remained up Saturday as the protesting farmers camped out along the roadway. They say they are determined to keep the road blocked. Mark Castillo from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Iran-backed armed groups have targeted U.S. troops in Iraq shortly after Tehran pledged retaliation and accused Israel of a fatal attack on a facility housing for its elite forces in Damascus, Syria. The U.S. Central Command reported that the assault involved multiple ballistic missiles and rockets, resulting in at least one Iraqi and potential American casualties. White House Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner characterized the incident as a grave attack, emphasizing the U.S. commitment to retaliate immediately to establish deterrence in such situations. A surge in attacks on American troops in Iraq and Syria has been observed since mid-October. Most of these incidents, including the recent attack, have been attributed to religious extremists in Iraq, an informal coalition of Iran-affiliated armed groups opposing U.S. support for Israel in the Gaza conflict.
The race for the Republican nomination for this fall's U.S. presidential election is now down to just two candidates. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has ended his election campaign. Ron DeSantis of Florida has once been the leading Republican rival to Donald Trump. His withdrawal Sunday comes after months of weakening support. That leaves only low-polling Nikki Haley standing between Trump and his nomination as the Republican Party's candidate for the U.S. presidential election set in November. In a video message, DeSantis said his decision to drop out follows his second-place finish last week in the Iowa caucuses.
If there was anything I could do to produce a favorable outcome, more campaign stops, more interviews, I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory.
The decision came less than 2 days before the New Hampshire primary, where polls showed him far behind frontrunner Trump and former U.S. Ambassador Haley. DeSantis has thrown his support behind Trump.
I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed-over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents.
Trump's campaign said in a statement that he is honored by DeSantis' endorsement. Trump called for Republicans to rally behind him, dismissing Haley as a candidate of the globalists and Democrats.
The World Health Organization has called on countries to sign a world pandemic treaty in preparation for Disease X. Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus noted that the pandemic agreement would address the hypothetical placeholder virus. This was pronounced at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
So we need to have a placeholder for that, for the disease we don't know that may come. And that was when we gave the name Disease X.
Scientists claim that Disease X could be 20 times more lethal than the COVID-19 virus. In 2017, Disease X was added to the organization's short list of pathogens for research that could cause a serious international epidemic. Aside from the pandemic agreement, Ghebreyesus disclosed the pandemic fund where many countries have already benefited from.
The pandemic agreement can bring all the experience, all the challenges that we have faced, and all the solutions into one. And that agreement can help us to prepare for the future in a better way, because this is about a common enemy. And without a shared response, starting from the preparedness, we will face the same problem as COVID.
Just imagine that COVID-19 in 2017 or around 2018 was actually named Disease X before it was COVID-19 years and years later.
And I think that when the COVID-19 pandemic happened, we can all say that we weren't as prepared as we should be, and that's why so many lives were lost. That's why we were in lockdown for so many months. So I actually admire the World Health Organization for really talking about this problem and how they can invest more in the medical field, in science and research, because I truly do agree with the statement that prevention is always better than the cure.
I really hope that this moves forward, and it does so fast, because many pandemics have happened in the past, and well, we owe it to science and technology, and that things are a lot more advanced now. I mean, it's the year 2024, and pandemics are decades, even centuries apart.
Oh, yes.
We should really learn our lesson, and it should be a collective effort.
Yes, as you mentioned, it should be a collective effort. We can truly learn from each other, learn from how other countries attack the problem during the COVID-19 pandemic, and from our different mistakes as well during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think we can all agree we would not want that to happen again, but in the case that it does, at least we are prepared.
And while resilience is a good thing, we ought to learn from past experiences. And COVID-19 should serve as a hard lesson to learn, and we ought to learn it. And we shall continue on with the news. ExxonMobil has filed a suit in a Texas court seeking to prevent the shareholders' climate proposal from going to a vote at its annual investor meeting. The Follow This and Arjuna Capital is urging Exxon to step up the pace of reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. But Exxon says its investors from the United States and Netherlands are driven by an extreme agenda, adding that their repeated proposals do not serve investors' interests or promote long-term shareholder value. Legal experts say it is uncommon for companies to go to court to block shareholder motions, and sources said this is the first time Exxon has done so.
The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, has mandated checks on a second Boeing model following the recent incident involving the blowout of an unused door on a Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft. Over 170 planes from the 737 MAX 9 fleet were grounded after a cabin panel detached at high altitude earlier this month. The FAA has now extended its inspection directive to include older 737-900er models, which share the same door design. Despite no reported issues with the 737-900, the FAA considers this additional precautionary measure to enhance safety. They emphasize that the 737-900 uses a similar style of panel to cover an unused door, similar to the one involved in the recent unsettling incident.
Up next, thousands of people across Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England feel the effects of Storm Isha. The U.S. racks up multiple weather-related deaths due to fierce winter storms. And Apple's flagship Macintosh turns 40. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break. Don't go away.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders. Open for business with Cesar Vallejos every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Storm Isha hit the United Kingdom and Ireland with heavy rain and strong winds, forcing authorities to cancel or reroute many flights. From Europe, Love and Season reports.
Tens of thousands of people across the UK and Ireland were without power on Monday after Storm Isha lashed the countries with strong winds and heavy rain, disrupting travel networks. Gusts of 159 kilometers per hour were recorded in northeast England as the whole of United Kingdom was subject to weather warnings for its ninth named storm since September. Climatologists say climate change is causing winters in the region to be warmer and wetter, increasing the likelihood of extreme weather events. In Ireland, which was also hit badly by the storm, at least 235,000 homes endured power cuts, according to energy provider ESB. Another 45,000 people were without electricity in Northern Ireland, while several thousand properties went dark in northwest England and Wales. Felled trees in Scotland caused major roads, while debris and floods forced the cancellation of all Monday morning rush hour trains in the country. Dozens of flights were cancelled or delayed late on Sunday, with some planes diverted after they were unable to land due to high winds. Isha follows Storm Hank, which crashed into the UK earlier this month, causing widespread flooding and disruption to train services and roads. Britain's weather agency, the Met Office, said the storm was expected to move away throughout Monday. A yellow wind warning remains in place across the country until midnight. Love and Season, London, United Kingdom, for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Over 90 weather-related deaths have been documented across the United States in the aftermath of relentless winter storms that have battered the country for the past week. Among the affected states, Tennessee and Oregon have reported a combined 41 fatalities, with Oregon still grappling with a state of emergency due to severe ice storms. The toll of 92 weather-related deaths extend to other states, including Mississippi, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Washington, Kentucky, Wisconsin, New York, and New Jersey, and beyond. Widespread power outages persist, leaving tens of thousands of people in the dark across large areas of the country. Despite the grim situation, there is a glimmer of of relief on the horizon as icy conditions are anticipated to alleviate in the coming days.
A passerby caught a massive landslide on camera on the Rishikesh-Bandriyat NH58 highway near Dobra Chanti Suspension Bridge in Uttarakhand, India. Local officials said that the area has been prone to landslides during continuous rainfall in parts of Uttarakhand. Authorities report that previous landslides have occurred in May, July, and August 2023. Ongoing construction of an all-weather highway was allegedly triggering the frequent landslides.
Authorities in central China's Henan province have launched an investigation into the cause of a nighttime fire that killed 13 school children as they slept in a dormitory. The blaze late Friday night also injured another person. Rosel Feria has more.
It took firefighters about 40 minutes to extinguish the deadly inferno that broke out at this Chinese school. According to a video posted on social media by a man whose son died in the fire, authorities are asking for DNA samples to compare with the victims. Little information about the boarding school is publicly available. A teacher at the school told a state-run newspaper that all the victims were from the same third-grade class of 9 and 10-year-olds. Authorities in the area are investigating the fire's cause. Chinese media reports that at least one person linked to the school has been detained. No official explanation about the cause of the blaze has been provided, although some domestic media reports suggested it was related to an electric heating device. Rosel Feria for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Ciudad de Panama wakes up to a city covered in toxic smoke coming from a fire that started Thursday on Cerro Patacon. Cerro Patacon is where the city's landfill is located. Our Panama correspondent Sean Davila tells us more.
Reports revealed that the fire was detected shortly after 6 p.m. on Thursday in the landfill sector known as La Montaña. Another fire, however, also broke out in the tire recycling area a few hours after. By 6 the next morning, the National Aeronaval Service began work with 23 downloads from the Bambi bucket system. This totaled over 7,300 gallons of water. This in support of the Panama firefighters. After more than 24 hours of work by the fire department, authorities have reported that the fire has already been extinguished by more than 60%. It has consumed more than 7 hectares of the 162-hectare landfill. Health authorities report that an increasing number of people have been treated in public hospitals and health centers for symptoms related to smoke inhalation from the fire. They advise the public to use masks while outdoors, and for those with respiratory problems, senior citizens, and small children to remain indoors and keep all windows closed. In Ciudad de Panama, Sean Davila for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The death of a man at the hands of police has sparked unrest in eastern Mexico. Local residents tried to lynch police officers and burn their vehicles following the shooting Friday night. 4 Mexican officers are under investigation following the death of 27-year-old Brando Arellano Cruz. Cruz had been shot while in his vehicle in the Veracruz state. His father says his son had been killed in front of his grandmother's house. The family believes Cruz did not stop for police out of fear because authorities are not trusted by local residents. As news of his death became known, residents surrounded the local police station and beat several officers. The furious crowd set fire to the town hall and also torched 2 patrol cars and a van. For years, Veracruz has endured high levels of violence linked to organized crime.
A wave of violence fueled by drug-dealing gangs continues in Ecuador. On Sunday, police say terrorists attempted to take over a hospital. Angel Membreri has the report.
Ecuadorian authorities have 68 people in custody with the attempted takeover of the hospital. On X, police say those detained are believed to have tried to rescue a colleague admitted to the hospital with injuries hours earlier. They seized drugs and firearms during the arrests. Police also raided a clandestine rehabilitation center that housed a gang command center and brothel. and where several alleged gang members had been hiding. Ecuadorian authorities have recently closed hundreds of such centers. They are essentially gang-run clandestine hospitals that officials say do not have proper facilities for patient care. Elsewhere, Ecuador and Colombia intercepted 2 semi-submersible drug smuggling vessels loaded with tons of contraband in their respective Pacific waters over the weekend. On Sunday, Colombia's Navy said it confiscated a narco sub about 15 meters long near the port of Buenaventura and arrested all 3 people on board. They found 795 kilograms of cocaine. The previous day, Ecuador's armed forces said they had intercepted the same type of submarine, loaded with about 3 tons of cocaine. 3 Colombian citizens aboard the vessels have been arrested. Angel Membrey for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Iran has successfully launched its Suraya satellite into orbit. The Iran Space Research Institute said that the telecommunications satellite was placed in an orbit 740 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The Iranian Space Agency disclosed that the satellite has a lifespan exceeding 3 years. The Suraya satellite is equipped with an upgraded orbit and GPS position accuracy of 20 meters. Aside from the successful launch, this also served as a milestone for testing various subsystems developed by Iran's Space Research Institute. The mission also paved the way to streamline the development of Tehran's domestic space industry.
Japan's smart lander for investigating mooners, SLIM, has successfully landed on the lunar surface. This made Japan the 5th country to send the spacecraft on the moon. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, said that the lunar lander has re-established communication with Earth despite problems with its solar panels. In a statement, JAXA Space Lab Director Hitoshi Kuninaka said, and I quote, "SLIM is now operating only on its battery, and we are prioritizing the transfer of its data onto Earth." Nicknamed Moon Sniper, the SLIM is used for the program's goal of agile and precise landing within 100 meters of its intended target. JAXA launched the SLIM in September of 2023, propelled by Japan's Mitsubishi Heavy H-2A rocket.
The Computer History Museum is holding a special exhibit as Apple's Macintosh is turning 40 on January 24 this year. The exhibit started on December 15, 2023, and is until February 25, 2024. This exhibit features Macintosh items from vast collections of rare prototypes and unique memorabilia. Apple launched the Macintosh in 1984 as a user-friendly computer showcasing a graphical interface, icons, and a mouse.
The Mac played an important role in transforming the personal computer from something that required a bit of expertise, that is, memorizing a bunch of commands that would be used, for example, on an IBM PC, into a graphical environment in which you could just point and click at different things on the screen and do your work that way.
As easy and as user-friendly as that sounds, yes. I don't consider myself a Mac person. Actually, I'm not a techie type.
Okay.
I just want one that works. If it does, basic functions for me, I'm happy with that.
Well, I have to admit that I actually grew up using Apple products, and my very first Apple product was actually, I believe, the iPod Mini back in 2004. 20 years ago. And it's interesting because it aligns with Steve Jobs and his team's mission, which is just to make things easier. So I recently saw a video when he first revealed the Macintosh computer, and the computer actually had a little speech, and it said, "I am the Macintosh, and I am here to make your life easier."
And 40 years is a long time to be coming up with advances in terms of technology. And it's good that it's come this far, 40 years, and imagine the staying power. It is still around and it's coming on strong.
And people are still anticipating, developments in different Apple products and what the newest Mac is going to be able to do. And I think that's just us as a society really enjoying the technological advancements. So we'll see what more they'll have to develop in the coming years.
I think it holds a lot of promise for the users because as I've seen every year, like year after year after year, they make changes, they make developments, they make advancements. So that's very promising.
And of course, we have more stories coming up, so this is what you can anticipate. The Netherlands gears up for National Tulip Day. Filipino pole vaulter EJ Obiena has his eyes set on Paris. And Grammys 2024 adds 3 more stars to their already stacked lineup. Catch more news in sports and entertainment when we return.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
The Netherlands kicked off the beginning of the tulip season on the weekends. Thousands of people turned out for National Tulip Day, held Saturday in Amsterdam. Thomas Eyelikeness tells us more.
Dutch tulip growers set up a massive picking garden in Amsterdam's Museum Square. On display, some 200,000 flowers. The garden featured more than 1,000 different varieties of the plants, and visitors had the opportunity to pick up to 20 of the blossoms for free. Rochel May Padalaga is one visitor who tiptoed through the tulips.
Well, it's like a beautiful flowers, and it's very rare to see because we doesn't have that in the Philippines. So that's really makes us happy to see the tulips and experience it by ourselves here.
Because it's January, the blossoms in the garden had actually been grown indoors. Tulip fields in Amsterdam don't start to bloom until the end of March. Claire Hansen, a student from England, says this gigantic flower garden, well, it's just a great contrast to how things look at this time of year.
I think they're very beautiful, and considering how cold and gray it's been, I think it's very nice to bring color into the house.
By the end of the day, the garden was bare, all of the blossoms were gone. The Netherlands is the world's largest producer of tulips. National Tulip Day has been held annually since 2012 on the third Saturday of January. Thomas Eyelikeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
After being abandoned in a supermarket parking lot, the six-legged dog named Ariel has now gained a new lease on life after undergoing surgery to remove her extra limbs. Ariel, the six-legged spaniel from Wales, was named after the famous Disney character because of her extra hind legs with two paws on the end that looked like a mermaid's tail. The dog was born with multiple health defects and was taken in by the nonprofit organization Green Acres Rescue. The group raised funds for Ariel's surgery and helped her find a new foster family. Vicky Black, the director of the Langford Vets Small Animal Referral Hospital, said that they had never performed such an operation before and added that she is doing brilliantly after having the surgery. The procedure went as well as expected, and now she's got a few weeks of recovery, according to the charity's founder, Mikey Lawlor. The group expressed their gratitude for the worldwide support towards Ariel, posting an update on their Facebook page stating that Ariel is now recovering back in the comforts of her new home. Seven months away from the Paris Olympics, Asia's top pole vaulter and world number 2 EJ Obiena is kicking things into high gear. A series of indoor competitions is in store for him in Europe, leading up to Obiena's appearance at the 2024 World Championships. Preparations have restarted for Obiena in Formia, Italy, 4 months after he claimed the Philippines' first athletics gold medal at the 19th Asian Games Hangzhou in 2023. Philippine Athletic Track and Field Association Chief Terry Capistrano, who is currently in Japan, said that Obiena is set to join local tournaments in Europe before plunging into action in the World Indoor Meet in the first week of March in Glasgow. Most of his rivals, like world number 1 Armand Duplantis, will be there, along with Chris Nielsen of the United States and Curtis Marshall of Australia, who recently rose to number 4 in the rankings. Much is expected from Obiena, who is the world champion's silver medalist and the first Asian to have reached the 6-meter mark. In the 25 events that he joined last year, Obiena managed to clear the 6-meter mark twice. Obiena moved behind Duplantis in the world rankings following second-place finishes at both the World Championships and Diamond League finals. The 2024 Grammy Awards is expected to be a star-studded event as it reveals the lists of performers included in the music industry's biggest upcoming ceremony. Performers for the 2024 Grammy Awards are lining up to celebrate the best in the music industry for the past year. The confirmed artists that will be featured for the event include Billie Eilish and Dua Lipa, who both received nominations for their musical contributions for the Barbie movie. Olivia Rodrigo will also be performing as she celebrates her 6 nominations for her last year's album, Guts. This lineup will also be joined by 3 newly announced performers, namely Luke Combs, Burna Boy, and Travis Scott. SZA proves to be the biggest contender of the night with her 9 nominations. Other musicians who are expecting to win big are Miley Cyrus, Olivia Rodrigo, and the already 12-time Grammy Award winner Taylor Swift. The Recording Academy also marks the addition of 3 new categories, including Best Pop Dance Recording, Best Alternative Jazz Album, and Best African Music Performance. Trevor Noah will be returning for the 4th time as the host for this year's 66 Grammy Awards, which will be held at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles on Sunday, February 4th.
Meanwhile, yesterday, the entire Philippine Sports Stadium was wrapped in neon green because of the recently concluded the Unity in Bulacan concert by K-pop boy group NCT 127. NCT 127 is a subunit of the Korean group Neo Culture Technology, or better known as NCT. The whole stadium was filled with loud cheer because of the support given by NCTzens, or Sejunis, which is NCT's fandom. NCT 127 showed off their performance skills in front of the neon green audience. They performed one of their latest songs, Fact Check, other tracks like Sit Down, and their encore song, Promise You. Fans became emotional because of the unforgettable experience they had with their favorite group. NCT 127 is the second K-pop act to perform at the Philippine Sports Stadium after 17, which was held just last weekend. Korean superstar and icon IU's her world tour was also recently announced. The Philippine stop will be held at the Philippine Arena on June 1st.
In related news, Filipino fans flocked to the Philippine Arena, creating a spectacular atmosphere during the unforgettable Coldplay concert on January 19th and 20th.
So after 7 years, I'm back here in the Coldplay concert. So I watched the one in MOA.
For many Filipino fans, the opportunity to witness the British rock band in their comeback concert was too special to miss.
So super saya kasi I was a avid fan since 2006. So isa talaga to sa nilook forward.
First-time concert goers were filled with excitement as they personally experienced the magic of seeing their idolized band live.
So super saya kasi I was a avid fan since 2006. So isa talaga to sa nilook forward.
The moment Coldplay took the stage at the Philippine Arena marked a dream come true for many. The joy among fans was immeasurable, especially as the band played songs that had touched the hearts of Filipino fans for the first time in 7 years. Chris, the lead vocalist, even invited the arena crowd to join in as he sang a few lines from their upcoming song, creating an unforgettable interactive experience. The music of the Spheres World Tour concert by Coldplay truly showcased the power of music in bringing hearts together.
Well, it was a two-night thing, but you were present on both nights, right?
I was present for Coldplay last Friday, and then I was able to watch NCT 127 on Sunday. And I must say, for music fans across the Philippines, it was truly an incredible weekend. I actually spoke to a lot of the concert goers, and many of them flew from different parts of the Philippines just to attend these concerts. It was absolutely incredible.
So they more than got their money's worth and never came home empty-handed, right?
Yes, and we do have to applaud both bands. Coldplay, first of all, I want to point out, they're having a sustainable world tour. So they said 7 years ago that they won't go on tour again until they find a way to make it eco-friendly, which they did throughout their entire show. They showed the concert goers different aspects on how they're doing that, one including the bands that a lot of people have seen on social media. Those are made from compostable materials, and you return them after the concert, but they truly made the whole experience. I have a lot of K-pop friends, our K-pop friends who are fans, and they said that this has to be the best NCT 127 concert that they have seen in the Philippines. So they've been in the Philippines a few times, but the production this time was absolutely incredible. So we can't wait for the other upcoming events, both in the Philippine Arena and the Philippine Sports Stadium.
I just love the dedication of these music icons to really making their fans happy and doing their best in order to more than just entertain, but to make them aware of what's been going on now.
Yes.
Exactly. Even regarding climate change.
Yes, just truly using their platform to spread a good message.
And to start the week, here's a quote from the Man of Steel himself, Henry Cavill. If you've got nothing else, passion will get you through.
Right. Well, I think that's very simple, right? Because sometimes we kind of forget our purpose in our life, especially during those tough days. But it's nice to turn back on our passions and know that we're going through all of these trials because of our passions.
And a lot of things that are achieved are actually passion-driven.
Yes. And it's great also that journey in discovering those passions.
Exactly.
It makes life beautiful. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richielago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Thank you for choosing Mata ng